thank you
Cool.
very much for joining, everybody. We are recording, as I've said. So if you're happy to have your face on there, great. If not, it's fine as we are. If you have any questions, I've repeated this now about 4 times, so I won't do it again. If you have any questions or any points to make as you go through, please drop them in the chat. I'm letting somebody else in as well. So I wanted to talk to you about Enterprise Soapbox and how we use creativity within Enterprise. Now, I imagine you can imagine the first thing that any student says as they come into one of the sessions. Imagine the class, the kind of the hall, or a large space set out with exam desks, and everyone's going in going, what? Soap? What? That's like really boring. So what's soap? And I'm sure you appreciate this, but everyone should know about soap and everyone should use it. But we know teenagers, they don't always. So the first reaction is, oh God, this is going to be really boring. But I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. I want to just tell you a little bit about my journey. I grew up in Buckinghamshire. I grew up in Aylesbury, and I was lucky enough to go to the grammar school, but I didn't really realise it at the time. Hated it because only me and this nerdy kid, Adrian Venables, went there. All of my friends went to the Grange, which is a secondary modern just up the road from me. And I thought, well, I just don't really like it. It's all boys and all my best friends have gone. So I was all right till GCSE O levels. I got 10. And then at A level, all my friends went to college. And I said, oh, can I go to my college parents? And they said, no, we want you to stay there. So basically, at that point was the point that I chose to kind of kick off. And I left Aylesbury Grammar School with an E and a U. After being kicked off English literature, I did sociology and business studies. I got arrested, not at school, for football fighting. I got arrested for nicking clothes. I also got into trouble for fighting. I smashed a pub up with my mates. I was just horrible. So when my A-level results came in, I decided at that point, I need to do something different. So I went away, and there was only 2 places that would offer me a place at higher education. So I went away to North East Wales Institute of Higher Education, which no one's ever heard of. If you've heard of it, put it in the chat. No one ever has. So I went away there, and basically I nearly got kicked off in the first year because it turns out being a dickhead is really hard to get rid of, because I smashed up a house after a party. The house I lived in. So it took a really long time for me to kind of realize that this was self-inflicted. Eventually, I got a distinction in business and finance, and then I kind of settled down and got a proper job. So I then realized at 38, when we'd moved to even further up after living in Merseyside, then Manchester, then Lancashire, that actually the best part of my day was that moment when the doors opened at work and that cold air hit me on the face. I realized that even though I was living in a tiny cottage in the Lake District, as you can see, it's a tiny cottage. The best part of my day was leaving work. So I realized I had to do something different. Doctor signed me off for 3 months. And then I decided I wanted to, my wife helped me. I decided I wanted to work with young people. And that's what I did. So I started doing enterprise workshops because there was funding from the Labour government at that point to help embed enterprise within schools. I kind of was trying to kind of inspire and open up ideas about enterprise, entrepreneurship, because I'd become an accidental entrepreneur because I didn't really fit into any other boxes. And so a couple of years later, I realized that actually there was room for doing something with more creative. I heard about people doing STEM workshops where they did the cold process method of soap making, where you mix toxic chemicals, you stir them. It takes between 10 minutes and an hour of stirring, which with the best will in the world is not going to inspire many teenagers. And because I'd once worked at Lever Brothers in Sunlight, home of Lux and the home of some of those very famous soap products that you've probably heard of, I thought, you know what, I've got loads of nerdy knowledge. I'm going to turn that into a workshop. So I found out about this stuff called melt and pour soap making. And I realized that I could create something that a school could buy and then they could turn into a business. So kids are learning about STEM, they're learning about creativity, they're learning about art, they're also learning about the product design, they're learning about finance, they're also learning about teamwork along the way. So I just thought, I don't know how it's going to work. I put it out there and a couple of schools started buying. One school in Blackpool bought 24 kits. Another school in Kent bought 10 kits. And then 2 weeks before they were due to do a drop down day with year 10, they said, can you deliver this for us? And I went, oh, yeah. And so I bought some microwaves. I bought some plastic boxes full of kit. I bought hundreds of molds. I bought loads of plastic jugs. I basically bought a portable kitchen unit and took it down, delivered it with year 10s. It was a bit chaotic, but at the end of it, the students loved it. Ever since then, it's become our most popular workshop, almost by accident. So the reason is it's creative, and confidence doesn't come from following rules. Confidence comes from creating something different, being allowed to kind of express yourself. So, and that's where creativity comes from. It comes from making mistakes. It comes from getting your hands dirty. And I used to work at Salford University, and I used to call it the kind of the dirty hands university, because it was an engineering college, and it was all about kind of experiential learning. So I took some of that and threw that in. Enterprise is about skills, and the skills within enterprise are thinking differently, taking risks, and usually making a profit. I'm yet to really discover that, but that's what kind of enterprise is truly really about. And the thing I built into Soapbox is that there are guides but no rules. So you can do this, you can try that. Every team starts with the same thing. So it's the kind of thing I've worked with 4-year-olds right the way through to an 82-year-old blind lady, and just about everybody in between. So it works with all types of schools, different sizes, different types of groups, different sizes of groups. And it really helps to kind of, you can do kind of vertical integration. So you can get year 7s working with year 10s. There's all sorts of flexibility with it. And we've actually delivered it at the Aspire in Aylesbury, and also at Chesham, in terms of kind of working with groups that, you know, they may find it challenging to work together, let's say. So it works with those. And so there's guidelines but no rules. There's loads of flexibility. I'm going to show you the kind of range of molds that you can start with, and the kind of end results. And also, my first answer when someone says, can I do this? It's yes, try it. And I think when you're giving young people the flexibility to kind of make their own mistakes, or just have a bit of a doss about, then they come up with some really weird ideas. But weird ideas are where loads of products have come from. So I'm going to do my demo. In order to do my demo, I'm going to put my corporate soapbox bibs on, because we do this with adults as well. But I just thought I'd kind of make myself. I don't have a chef's cap, but I'd quite like one. And you're going to see why in a minute, because it's kind of like a mini kitchen. So when we deliver a workshop, we take a car full of microwaves, a car full of plastic boxes, a car full of buckets, and a car full of plastic molds, and all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. So I'm going to just tilt the monitor down a little bit so you can see what I've got here. And what we've got here is well, you can see it's a spare bedroom, but I've actually made it into a factory. So what we've got here is we've got a bucket full of vegetable oils and minerals. There's no animal products or testing in anything that we do. We've got a jug, we've got a microwave, we've got food safe colorings, which means you could drink them, but don't. We've also got 3 types of perfumes in syringes. Syringes! Yeah, we use syringes because they're really definite, they're really delicate, and you can get an absolutely precise amount of perfume in there. It's cosmetic grade perfume, so you need 3 drops or more. It's a really simple metric to how we manufacture it. And then we've got a range of molds. So we've got things like bottles, we've got Winnie the Pooh, we've got a pumpkin, nice one for a kind of seasonal theme. We've got a butterfly, we've got star, we've got Star Wars, we've also got unicorns, we've got stuff, we've got like honeycombs, we've also got things like skulls. So, you know, you can imagine it links with loads of seasonal stuff. It kind of breaks the stereotypes of, oh, it has to be hearts and flowers and that kind of stuff. It doesn't. You can work with any type of group. You can also link it to any type of seasonal activity as well. So we've got lips, and I said we've got stars before. We've also got, you might have seen the tweet I did earlier, we've got little Lego figures as well. So, and we've also got lemons, limes, or oranges, depending on which color soap you use in the molds. So it's not rocket science. These are obviously kitchen type molds, but we've just adapted them. So what you first all have to do is you get your students doing some work, and you have to scrape using an ice cream spoon. You scrape the soap, and it's just clear soap. So if you can see that, it's kind of like a clear. Is it fat, sir? Well, no, but it looks like it. Is it wax, sir? No, but it looks like it. Does it smell, sir? No, it doesn't smell of anything. It's basically, if you're making a milkshake, it's the equivalent of milk. So it's basically naked soap that you can melt and pour. Don't try it with your own soaps. It doesn't work. So you use your own, you use this and you put in, this is where you kind of first bit of maths comes in. You've got multiples of 3. So what you're going to do is you're going to put roughly a third of a jug in, or a third of a litre, or 300 mils of soap. No one needs to pack it down. We keep it nice and loose and light. We then open up the microwave. You know, I told you I have a car full of microwaves, or a van. So then you put that on, and that goes for 30 seconds. Now, while I'm telling you that, I'm going to tell you about the colours. We've got FCF blue. If you've ever had a blue slush puppy, that includes this stuff. It's a food safe colour, and it's called FCF blue. We've also got amaranth red. This is the red on the hearts that you get from Haribo. And then we've got tartrazine yellow, which is the kind of stuff that's in orange squash and that kind of stuff. So we should have now, we're not quite fully liquid, but we've got a kind of quite a lot of liquid in there now. I'm going to put that on for another 20 seconds or so. And then I'm going to put some colouring in. So we're going to put 3 drops of perfume as a maximum. Because it's cosmetic grade, it's really strong. This is where you can control the flow of the activity. So you can, as a member of staff, you can allocate the drops of perfume. You can drop out the colours. So if you've got young people you're worried that might, you know, drink it or misuse what you're giving them, then you can kind of manage some of this stuff. So I'm just going to put 3 drops of this in. This is lavender perfume. You've heard of lavender. 1, 2, 3. So there's a maximum of 3 drops. And then I'm going to put in some color. I'm just going to use blue because you'll be able to see it really clearly. You put in about a teaspoon. That's the only bit that's a little bit vague. So then what you can do, you just stir it. And at this point, loads of people think they're on ready, steady, cook and start whipping it like they're thinking of, creating a batter. You don't. You literally have to move around the color until it mixes. That's it. That is literally it. Now what you do is you pour it out into your molds. I'm just going to choose this big blue star because it's relatively quick. And that's that. So then you would, if you're working as a team, then the other part of your team would kind of work on this. They would then take the jug and they would go away and make another batch. Meanwhile, you let that set. You don't move it from the kind of factory table. You leave it, you let it set, and then you can go about your other stuff. The other stuff is thinking about packaging. So you can use recycling. So you can think about using a plastic tray. So we've got some kind of hexagons at the bottom. So this could be like honey and a butterfly. And then we've got a kind of, like a rainbow butterfly made in 3 different colors, 3 different shades. So you can be really creative. You can actually put art right into the product you're creating. And then you can think about packaging. Now, obviously there's packaging boxes. You can get them to create boxes using card. So I go through so much card, but it's great because young people can then create their own products. So you don't have to just do boring old soap. We've had loads of creative ideas. And the idea is you just say yes and let them get on with it. So we take a massive kind of stationery pile. They get tokens, they get token sheets they can then buy their kind of packaging with. So we get the idea of budgeting and stuff like that. They then create their own packaging, and alongside there's either a really complex business pack or there's a simple business pack where you look at the kind of good stuff that goes into a business. You can do a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, threats, or you can do a kind of what's the key element of this, how much is it going to cost, how much are 3 drops of perfume going to cost. You can go right down to the kind of nth degree in terms of maths, or you can just do it kind of as a fairly vague, just work out what you're going to cost and what you're going to charge for it, how much you're going to make as a company, and then who's done what job. So, and there's a load of other stuff. So obviously you can then link it with kind of all sorts of ribbons. You can use loads of pipe cleaners. You can use lollipop sticks, which are definitely not stirrers stolen from coffee shops. They're definitely not that. You can also use stuff like cellophane from bunches of flowers. You can also get, if you go to your local florist, they'll get you, big rolls of this for about 15 quid, cut them in half, then you've got loads and loads and loads of stuff that you. So what I'm trying to say is it's really flexible, it's really fun. And at the end of the session, students will then be able to either present or lay out the products for you to judge if you want to judge. If you don't, that's fine. Also, it's usable, so students can then take it home, as long as, they've not over perfumed it and that kind of stuff. But essentially, what you're doing with Enterprise Soapbox is creating a business, using loads of skills. Out of it comes teamwork. Out of it comes the idea about starting a business. It takes about between an hour and a half and 2 hours to create, present, market, manage, and develop your own unique soap product. So when you think about soap, yeah, it's really boring stuff. But the thing I want people to understand from Enterprise Soapbox is that the soap is almost incidental. But what it is about being creative about a product we see every single day. What I said about earlier about always, say yes. Well, I'm going to give a caveat to that, because one student said he was going round and getting all the empty bits, basically getting all the scrapings from the jugs, and said, we're going to make it into a really big poo. Because there were loads of browns, there were loads of kind of orangey shades in it. And I said, okay, but you're going to have to stand up at the end of the day and present it. How are you going to do it? And he said, well, I'm not sure really. I said, well, if you made a cardboard toilet as the packaging and then put it in there, that would be funny. And I said, go and do it. So I then told a teacher, and the teacher went, oh, God. By the time the teacher had found out about it and chatted to them, they'd kind of bottled out of it. But so the idea is they're funny, they're creative.
You've got tucks in your hair and I'm watching this ridiculous guy show.
Really?
Oh, I've got my microphone off, haven't I?
I'm going to mute that. So what is Enterprise Soapbox? It is organized chaos. It's permissive rule breaking. So it allows flexibility, it allows creativity. It's creative mess. You can do recycling stuff with it. You can use ideas that students can grab from everywhere. And one of the things I often say is that every single one of the young people you work with is a marketing expert. They have adverts. We all have adverts thrown at us every single day, loads and loads and loads of them. So why don't you put those into a product that you could then target at, say, other teenagers or older people or sports people? I'm just going to show you a quick slideshow of some of the kind of examples of the stuff that students have made, just to give you an idea of the creativity that it brings out. So this was just a very, very early kind of promotional shot, but I can give all sorts of themes around this. So you can link it to Roald Dahl Day, you can link it to Cancer Awareness Day, you can link it to loads of other things, but the 5 main themes I give out is babies and young people, sports and games, glamorous life, working life, and gardening. Now, gardening has a really rich theme in it, but again, young people think, oh, that's really boring. But just think about it. Organic, you can work on fruits, you can work on flowers, you can work on, like wheelbarrows and all interesting packaging. So here's some really good examples. So we've got a little greengrocer's stall here with little fruits in it. That was one young person. She worked on her own for about 90 minutes, came up with the whole thing herself, the whole concept. And you can see up the edge here where she's kind of wrapped her almost like a vine type idea. There's a tulip with fruits and flowers there. We've got a kind of star themed there. That was a kind of like a Big Bang Theory theme. We've got Fruity Baby, which is strawberries in a strawberry. Over here, we've got gardening soaps in wellies with kind of garden, lettuce leaves and stuff coming out the top. Brick is like obviously using Lego brick soaps. I mean, we've got hundreds of different types of molds. So that was a group of boys that worked together for an hour and 45 minutes to create that. So you can forgive them that the wheelbarrow is not that brilliant, but you can see what it is. The business card I love as well. Little Tigs, we've got a kind of packaging here. We've got Tiggers and Piglets in there. We've got the external validation even used in the marketing. 9 out of 10 mothers use this product, but some really terrible parenting advice. Do not bounce your baby clean. Don't do that. It doesn't work and it's quite dangerous. So then we've got Clean Sweets. Obviously, you need the kind of sticker on there that says do not eat this product. We've got Enchanted. We've got a bento box made entirely from soap. Tastes disgusting, looks amazing. And this is the best ever. Fish and chips, Edinburgh fish supper. It was done in a school in Edinburgh. We've got chips, we've got lemon, it's wrapped in a paper, in newspaper, in a kind of takeaway box. And this is the kind of rubbish you sometimes get, which allows you to reflect on how the teamwork went, What would you have done differently? Even better if. So there's loads of reflectivity within the tools that we use. So that is how Enterprise Soapbox brings creativity to your brings it to your school, and how working with young people using really quite an everyday and what young people would think is a relatively boring product can be an absolutely fun, creative and memorable day. We've gone back to some schools for 10 years and we go and you'll see the year 10s that were year 9s last year. And they go, oh, brilliant, it's soap day. And they'll give you a hand putting the stuff in. So what I'm trying to say is you can make even the most mundane products relatively good fun in terms of enterprise if you use a bit of imagination and just kind of give students a little bit more latitude than you probably normally would. One of the most fun things is when you get teachers turning over between one class and another, and the new teachers come in and they kind of go, oh my God, what's happening in here? Because half the room is up, wandering around, making stuff. The place stinks of soap and perfume. It looks like chaos. And I'll just say to them, I'll walk over to them and say, look, give it half an hour. And half an hour later, all the students are back at the tables, creating, packaging, thinking about branding, thinking about logos and stuff. So what I would like to say is that's the lot. Thank you very much for joining me. If you need any more information, obviously the links are in my links are in the bio and stuff that you saw earlier on today. Enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you very much, Jess, for your round of applause. And thank you for joining me. Thanks very much.